Hello and welcome to the program. You are watching news in focus on Hebrew television. I am Chiaka or Jaco. Today we have the ambassador of Ecuador to Nigeria. That's Ambassador Leopoldo Rovayo Verdesoto. Thank you very much for joining us today, sir.
It's nice. Thanks to the opportunity for sharing my ideas.
Okay. Now please, may we know you? Please introduce yourself.
Well, I am a diplomat from the Ecuadorian diplomatic service. I had begun my career in 1989. I had been posted. My first post was as a consul in Lima, Peru, and then I passed through the embassy. And also, I have been posted abroad as a consul in Madrid, and also as a consular in Spain. This is my first post as an ambassador. For me, it's a privilege to be in Nigeria.
Congratulations. Okay, now tell us about your country, Ecuador. What makes it so exotic?
Well, we are in the middle of the world. Maybe we have named it with another name because a lot of people think that Ecuador is just a line around the world, but it also named the country. So one of the main things that we have, or the main advantages, is that we have all the weathers that you could possibly have, because we have from the coast to the highland, and we have the Andean highland that makes and divides the country in three regions. You have the coast, the highland, and the Amazon basin. The beginning of the Amazon basin and the roots of the Amazon are in Ecuador. And of course, we have the always famous Galapagos Island that is 1,000 kilometers from the coast of Ecuador. So you could have any weather, you could travel from one place to another very easily because it's not so far. The country has almost 250,000 kilometers. So I think it's interesting. We had blessed with a lot of natural resources as Nigeria.
That's great. Okay, now we know that Ecuador is an oil exporting country. Now, apart from petroleum, what other products does Ecuador export?
We also export vegetables, especially to the European Union and to United States. Also canned food, and one of the main exporters is cacao, shrimps, flowers. That's it.
Great. Okay, and tell us about tourism in Ecuador.
We received at least more than 1 million tourists from Ecuador, from other countries, especially from our border countries, Colombia, Peru. We have almost 500,000 Colombians living in Ecuador.
Wow.
And at least 70,000 of them have the status of refugees because of the problems that they have in the internal problems in Colombia. But also we receive a lot of people from United States and from Europe.
Okay. Now, assuming someone wanted to go to Ecuador to do business, which sector would you advise them to invest in?
Probably in this moment, petroleum is not the best one, but because of the prices are very low, but we have some blocks that should be going into Explorer. And also we have some small projects, especially for hydroelectric power machines.
Okay.
So we have at least 12 of them, so people could invest and take the money from the powering. That is one of the issues that you know that Nigeria is struggling also to improve.
Yes.
Ecuador has built in the last 4 years 8 power plants, and they are hydroelectric, you know. So the idea is to change from burning our oil to use our natural resources as water. So that will save to the country in 2 years, probably when everything of these power plants will be operated, around $500 annually, because we will supply and make the switch from the oil burning to the water.
Water, that's excellent. Okay, and tell us about the education system in Ecuador. What's the literacy rate like, and what does the system work
You
like?
know, most of the people we have been struggling a lot with people that didn't know how to read. In the beginning of the 19th century, there was a very good president that he made special schools for teachers, teachers especially from the primary school. So the literacy of people go very down, you know, it goes down. So we have a good education system. It's divided in primary, high school, and university. And the government of Mr. Rafael Correa also has tried to improve the education system in Ecuador by having a special national exam. So if you want to go to the university, you have to apply of a national university, because you have also private university as well here. You have to apply to the national exam. So it depends on how great you get, so it meets the profession that you could study. Sometimes it's not fair, because you could be a doctor, but if you have been lazy all your high school, probably you have a very poor score, and maybe you could be a nurse or whatever. But the idea is to get some excellence. Also, the government has a project to impulse the knowledge about our nature. It's called Yachay. It's a big city where people study things related, especially with biological issues. So that the idea is to try to find out our natural products and synthesize them and export them.
Okay, tell us about the languages you speak in Ecuador.
You know, one of the things that is interesting about Nigeria and Ecuador is that we are a multi-ethnical society. We have been conquered and colonized by the Spaniards, but the good thing about the colonization is that, of course, they give us the language, but our people could express also in their own language. The main language that we speak, the indigenous persons from Ecuador, is Quechua. We are almost 1 million people that speak Quechua.
Wow.
And there are some other languages, especially in the Amazon basin, but it's very small population, because the Amazon is not top populated, you know, because they used to be nomads around. It's like in the beginning of the society. We also have probably one of the last people in the world that are not contacted people, that live in a nomad way. And one of the problems that we have to face is, if we develop industry in the Amazon basin without putting in danger these small people. So, and also of course the nature, you know, the exploitation of oil has been improved. There are better standards now than 20 or 30 years ago, that everything was spoiled. There is no management about nature, but right now in Ecuador we are always trying to improve that and trying to respect the nature, so we could exploit oil but trying not to damage things.
Okay. Based on the Quechua community you just mentioned, some researchers say that red Indian Americans actually settled in Ecuador. Is there any element of truth in that?
Excuse me, can you listen?
Some researchers say that Indian Americans, the original occupants of the United States, actually settled in Ecuador, and they also speak the Quechua language.
You know, we have the advantage that Ecuador, not Indians Americans, but we have very good facilities for example, retired foreigners that want to enjoy their pension in our country, because you know, we have a good quality of life, powering We have no problems about cutting powering. We have middle-sized cities, so people could move to Ecuador to get retirement. We have almost, for example, 80,000 Americans living in a city called Cuenca. Retired people. They want to enjoy a small town.
Yes.
They have a lot of facilities there. Everything is okay, and of course, the money that they take as a pension is better in Ecuador. They could have a better life in Ecuador. But of course, they are also interested in our cultures and try to learn the Quechua language.
Quechua. Okay. And tell us about the political system in Ecuador.
You know, Ecuador is different from Nigeria in the sense that you have a federation. You are quite big, you know. But we have a unified government. So we have the president. It's what we call in constitutional law presidential scheme. So you have the president and the National Assembly that makes the laws. And we have also another power called the National Elections Council, and there is another council called the Council of Citizen Participation, because, for example, to cover posts as the prosecutor of Ecuador, they make, how do you say, an opposition of candidates. So the idea is that any citizen that would like to be a prosecutor and of course has the profile, has the opportunity to participate, and maybe if you win, you could have that post as the attorney of Ecuador and other posts. And we have elections each 4 years. At the moment, it's not possible to make a re-election. From my point of view, I think that's sane, because it's a good idea to share the power, you know, because otherwise the society enters in a symbiosis of struggling, you know, because there are some groups that want one political vision, others other political vision. So it's I think it's wise from the President Correa that he said that he's not going to run the next elections that will be held in January.
Okay, next year?
Next year.
Next year.
But of course, he has a powerful movement called Alianza País that will try to sustain the power, but without the president running. I think that's good, you know. Even, you know, there is, I don't know how to say it in English, is caudillism, you know, when there is only one leader. And the idea is, if you don't have a project as a nation, that could be a problem in the long term.
Okay, now in terms of bilateral relations between Nigeria and Ecuador, what does your embassy here seek to achieve?
First, we think that Nigeria is considered for us as a power in Africa, and that is developing also leadership. And of course, for developing leadership, Nigeria and the President Buhari is trying to improve the country. So if you want to be a leader of a region, of a country, of a group of countries, you have to order your house. Otherwise, it could be difficult.
Yes.
And I think that Nigeria has all the possibilities to do that. You have good people, you have educated people, you have resources, and you have at the moment the political power to do it. But of course, we think that Nigeria is already a leader, and the leadership of Nigeria in Africa will improve. So if you want to be in Africa, you have to be in Nigeria from our point of view. Of course, this is also a political vision. We are running elections next year. We don't know if the vision of the new government will be the same. So you never know. But the embassy is trying to, in this time, in this year, to strengthen the political ties with Nigeria in terms of the United Nations, in terms of the OPEC, we believe that even we are a marginal exporter, we had to support with Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, all the arrangements that had been done trying to recover the price of the oil, because it's not possible that 1 barrel of oil costs less than a bottle of wine. You could have a bottle of wine of $200 and the barrel of oil costs less than, at the moment I think it's $32 dollars per barrel.
Yes.
So, and also the people that think that this is good for them is not good enough, because with that price to invest in the petroleum industry is not attractive. So the world reserves go down for the future. So we have to try to search a price that will be fair for everybody, for consumers and producers. I think maybe that price could be around 50. Of course, some fields will be out of that price, because you have petroleum offshore that of course is more expensive to take it out. So if you have costs over 50, you will be out of the market. That's maybe the idea that Saudi Arabia is trying to find out. They say, well, we could support a price of 30, and the people that couldn't improve their margins had to be out. So that's a problem for Nigeria, for Ecuador, because you have to invest a lot, because if you don't invest in your fields, the thing that happens, you are, in your case, you have 2,200 per day, it will drop. Because the equipment gets old, you have to replace, so no money, it goes down. The same in Ecuador. So I think that we could cooperate also in that field. Maybe some people from Nigeria could be interested in investing in Ecuador. The problem is that we don't know each other. We have just been here 6 months, and we think we could work together for mutual benefits of both countries.
Okay. And is this the only mission in Africa, or you have more?
The President Rafael Correa has the vision to approach to the south,
Okay.
and to approach to other countries. For example, we have opened in the last 8 years embassies in places that we had never been. For example, we opened Turkey, we opened Qatar, and the last year we opened 4 embassies in Africa: Algeria, Ethiopia, Nigeria, and Angola. There are only 2 before. Traditionally, we have Egypt for almost 45 years, and we opened South Africa 6 years ago.
Okay.
So, Africa is a continent for us to discover, but it's the only continent that is growing, and it's going to be growing and growing all the time, because you have a lot of resources and you have a lot of things that has to be done, and it depends which type of relations do you need with the people, because sometimes governments, for example, ask, of course, I want to renew the airport. In Ecuador is the same, or I want to renew the refinery, but I like that you come with the financing. So if you don't come with the financing, you are out. Because of course you get the contract, $100 to refurbish the airport of Cano, I'm inventing something, or the airport of Cuenca in Ecuador. But because the dollar is so low, we as a government, we would like that the Chinese, the Peruvian, the Ecuadorian government could lend us $100 to the enterprise, and they make it. So things are difficult in that way in terms of how to build things, because most of the countries that are affected oil exporters in this issue. In Ecuador is the same. We have the same problem. The state, the government has suspended most investment projects. So what we are going to do is trying to finish what is on the way, what's building.
Okay. All right. And finally, why should anyone visit Ecuador?
I think it's a great country. Of course, we have the same problems and some problems as well as in other countries. For example, Istanbul is a great city. I would love to go to Istanbul, and I wouldn't don't go because some strange people are trying to attack tourists or whatever. Because life is a chance, so you have to get the chance. One of the things maybe for tourism, very very nice. Maybe the ticket is not also so expensive. It's $2,500 more or less. It's a long way, but of course you had to reserve 5 days for going in and going back.
Okay.
And one of the things that maybe also Nigeria has to develop is the internal tourism, because you are a giant. The idea is that also Nigerians and foreigners that live here in Nigeria could make tourism inside Nigeria. In that field, of course, the government, I think, is trying to improve some issues so people could move around and make nice spots, and because you could have a nice skyscape, but there is no signs, there is nothing. In Ecuador it was the same. 5 years ago, sometimes you have such a nice spots and nobody knows that it exists. It's just 1 kilometer from the main road. So sometimes just señaletics makes the difference, because you just pass through. So, I went the other day to Buari Pottery. There is a man that makes nice pottery.
Okay.
You had already see the sign of my residence. I made it instead of plastic. I made it in Nigerian pottery. I think it's nicer. So the idea is that people had to go and check what's Ecuador about. We also have a small Nigerian community, almost 500 Nigerians live in Ecuador. Some of them had married with Ecuadorians. So because we have maybe you don't know, almost 1 million Ecuadorian Afro descendants. So we have Ecuadorian black people also there. A very important community with a lot of cultural past and very rich present. So.
All right, Ambassador Leopold, thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
All right, so that's the end of the program. I'm your host, Chiaka or Giaco.